You are now entering the Rawrrzone.
USO 82.3 FM, we're the independent artists. Now streaming on all smart TVs. Decide the Live 365 channel and search PUSO. PUSO 82.3 FM, where the independent artists are the stars.
You locked into Chicago's #1 for hits, FFAB 94.5, The Hits.
Let's get back to the mix.
You're now listening to the Evening Rush Network.
I know you see me chillin', super low key. If I'm with the right niggas, super scuba OZ. All the hustlers and bouncers and the groupies know me. Fresh denim, fresh shades and a coupe with no key. It start off when I touch the dough, and I encourage ladies to touch the flow. As soon as we finish cutting, we can cut some more. And after you get high, I bet the girl you finna get
low and drop it, shake it for this profit. Yeah, that pussy top tier, so you know she toxic. Bust it like a locksmith, her shape so obnoxious. What you got all that ass for? Pop that shit and pop shit. Dry like you ain't got shit, so much drip she mop shit. Your man cannot top this, no bread, that's just nonsense. Get bread, that's the concept, let's go make some content. What you got all that class for? Show them that there's no contest. Gang gang baby, that's on set. Bang bang baby, that's on rap. I'm with all vets, taking all bets. With a bum bitch like a Corvette. Talking about who ain't got on yet. Couldn't be talking about me though. I'm out of this world, no orbit. Running this shit like Nino. Talking about shooting your shot here. He ain't getting no free throws. Talking about you some bots here. It's just not fair. It's no cheat codes. No, she coming with me now. He looking like he know. Yeah, she got what she need now. Here we go. Bend over, touch the toes.
I know you see me chillin', super low key. If I'm with the right niggas, super scuba OZ. All the hustlers and bouncers and the groupies know me. Fresh denim, fresh shades and a coupe with no key. It start off when I touch the dough, and I encourage ladies to touch the flow. As soon as we finish cutting, we can cut some more. And after you get high, make a bet the girl you finna get low.
My imperfections make me perfect. I'm here to steal your heart, not your purses. Got my name on the titty and she did it all in cursive. Way she steal the soul like she did it all with curses. Got my verses memorized, her enterprise booming. She like some good pussy too, we share it as a union. I consume it on the regular, I'm freaky like that. She don't kiss until she foreign, she don't speak me like that. And I don't know where she from, cause we ain't cheeky like that. Girl, all I know is she come, then she be sleepy from that. Get that, my ego saturated, I'm feeling fresh, I faded. Stand on bitches that are dated, they be wishing that I waited. No, I keep it moving, go. I will be stupid if I did some stupid shit for Toto. I know the Gucci loco, and I just want me Poco. Don't care about loco, just want really see how low you could go. You know
I know you see me chillin', super low key. If I'm with the right niggas, super scuba OZ. All the hustlers and bouncers and the groupies know me. Fresh denim, fresh shades and a coupe with no key. It start off when I touch the dough, and I encourage ladies to touch the flow. As soon as we finish cutting, we can cut some more. And after you get high, make a bet the girl you finna get low. You finna get low.
We on fire.
Rolling over the Golden Gate, city waking up, hear the trolley breaks. Started where the corner boys so the orchestrate. Dreams in the concrete trying to generate. Now it's rooftop views by the waterline. Now it's champagne toast while the skylight shine. From the scope to the world, yeah, the stars align, huh? I'm 20 summers in, yeah, it's perfect timing. Yeah, mama said move smooth, never chase the shine. Now it's cognac glass in my cufflink shining. From the blocks to the church, yeah, it's perfect in line. Now the whole city moving when I'm rhyming. DJ, let it breathe real slow. Let the horns come in, let the live drums drop. That's a cookout classic with a global glow. Dance like it's 92, y'all. Let's go. I said bounce with it, slide with it. 92 vibe, let's ride with it. I said, hey, okay. Dance like it's 92 all day. I said bounce with it, slide with it. 92 vibe, let's ride with it. I said, hey, okay. Dance like it's 92 all day. Yeah, sun's out, shades on, feeling real cool. Slide to the function like I made all the rules. DJ, spin it back, don't play it low. If it ain't got that bounce in the party, don't move. Hold up, who got the vibe on lock? Got the crowd hella lit when the beat drop. Got two-stepping out his flip-flops. Auntie's all feeling, but she's still on top. I'm like, wait, let me talk my talk. I'm a smooth operator when I hit that walk. From the phone 1-5 where we mobbing floss. Now the whole world copy how the bass just talk. Left side bounce, right side lean. If you feel that slap, go and step on the scene. When I step on the stage, whole crowd go yay. From the phone 1-5, let me hear y'all say. I said bounce with it, slide with it. 92 vibe, let's ride with it. I said hey, okay. Dance like it's 92 all day. I said bounce with it, slide with it. 92 vibe, let's ride with it. I said hey, okay. Dance like it's 92 all day. When I say two-step, you say slide. Two-step, two-step. When I say old school, you say vibe. Old school, old school. When I say two-step, you say slide. Two-step, two-step. When I say old school, you say vibe. Old school, old school. Slide on them, glide on them. Keep it playing my when we ride on them. From the 415 to the globe. Dance like it's 92, let's go. I said slide on them, glide on them. Keep it playing my when we ride on them. From the 415 to the globe. Dance like it's 92, let's go. I said bounce with it, slide with it. 92 vibe, let's ride with it. I said hey, okay. Dance like it's 92 all day. I said bounce with it, slide with it. 92 vibe, let's ride with it. I said hey, okay. Dance like it's 92 all day.
Can't believe I'm still alive, I tell him God did it. Overcoming every demon, every lie spent. Devil thought he had me, you would think that I was tired tripping. So you know I'm coming with the heat like it's July with it. 2025 had a little bit of pride to it. I was fighting with the flesh, I had to die to it. Difference between a blessing and a curse that is fine doing. You just gotta vibe to it, baby. It's a new year, happy new year. Tell them it's a new you, what it do, yeah. If you stepping out on faith, you deserve a new pair. If it wasn't for his grace, would you even be here? Proof here. Devil out of new jeans, cutting loose, yeah. Now I'm walking in the truth. Let me introduce, yeah, yeah. I don't ever gotta worry about it. He gon' handle it like he don't play about me. If he said it, he gon' stand on it like you don't know my Lord. Yeah, my God, he my champion. Any weapon from the guest, we finna cancel it. Two-stepping, baby, I'ma put a dance on it like I don't ever gotta worry about it. He gon' handle it like you don't play about me. If he said it, he gon' stand on it like you don't know my Lord. Yeah, my Lord. he my champion. And he rapping for the guest, we finna cancel it. Two-stepping, baby, I'ma put a dance on it like.
He said no weapon formed against me shall prosper. So I laid it at his feet and at the altar. And anytime I'm feeling weak, I close my eyes and bow my head. Cause we all know he don't play about his daughters. And I ain't never played about my father. Just need a bit more faith to go harder. If he said it, then he meant it. Said he do it and he did it right. So now we really moving smarter. This that feel good music, make you heal good music. This that sing because I'm happy and I still could music. Holy Spirit, feel better than the real good music. When the views don't mean nothing and he still gon' use it. What you know about your faith making you a champion. Almost giving up, but you knew that he would handle it. I'm back and better than he there when no one understands. So name a better friend. I placed it in his hands.
I don't ever gotta worry about it. He gon' handle it like you don't play about me. If he said it, he gon' stand on it like you don't know my God. Yeah, my God, he my champion. And he weapon for the guest, we finna cancel it. Two-stepping, baby, I'ma put a dance on it like I don't ever gotta worry about it. He gon' handle it like you don't play about me. If he said it, he gon' stand on it like you don't know my God. Yeah, my God, he my champion. And he weapon for the guest, we finna cancel it. Two-stepping, baby, I'ma put a dance on it like I don't ever gotta worry about it. He gon' handle it like he don't play about me. If he said it, he gon' stand on it like you don't know my Lord. Yeah, my God, he my champion. Any weapon for the guest, we finna cancel it. Two-stepping, baby, I'ma put a dance on it like.
And we are back. It's been a couple of weeks. What's up, everybody? It's your homegirl Ivy, Katie, whatever you want to call me. Just talk to me nice because it is still Rawrzone's birthday month, and we don't like you fucking haters. But of course, this is Welcome to the Rawrrzone. You can catch us everywhere on our website, www.rawrzonenyc.com. We got the veil here because can't see us just yet. You can subscribe to our YouTube at Rawrrzone NYC. Catch us on our radio homes Tuesdays 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fabulous 94.5 FM at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Booster 82.3 FM Wednesdays 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, the Evening Rush Radio Network on Fridays 10 p.m. Eastern. And of course, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcast fix. Whew. We are definitely proudly sponsored by the PNSBC. Shout out to the Phipps Neighborhood Springs Basketball Classic, bringing together the top high school talent across NYC while promoting competition, education, and community growth. Catch all games on YouTube at youtube.com/at PNSBC The League. First and foremost, I gotta give a special round of applause to these two people. 1 second, let me get my sound effect board back. I want to shout out to the two commissioners of the PNSBC, Coney Brooks, aka Andre Brooks, of the Wings Beacon Elite at Wings Academy, and the Fifth Neighborhood West Farms Beacon, and Lakeem Alexander of the P&J Community Center in Throgs Neck. They put this together to help these kids, and they recently just had their all-star game this past Saturday. As someone that's seen a lot of our Wings kids grow up and become grown men and future leaders, to see KJ, Jack, Lou, and the rest of the boys really stepping up and fostering a sense of brotherhood and seeing everything they've been doing from community service all the way up to these games. It really inspires me, even though I still don't know shit about basketball, but I am so proud to see this and everything they do and be part of something bigger. So please subscribe to their YouTube at www.youtube.com/at PNSBC The League. If you still want to donate, you want to sponsor, hit up Coney Brooks and he will take you to the right place. All right, let's continue this. We are on the road to the give back. We want to thank everyone who has been part of our initiative over the last 9 years. We've been doing this as part of. It started off as a community event that was supposed to just go 1 year, um, and it turned out being such a whirlwind experience. Whether you donated, shared, or partnered, volunteered, or simply showed love and support on our GoFundMe or just given us encouraging remarks. Because of you, we are in our ninth year and raised $5,200 raise, and we're working towards a $10,000 goal, hopefully by the end of next year. Every dollar is raised on behalf of my friend Sean Sikid and his fight against sarcoma. Sean, who is a community leader in the New Rochelle community, was diagnosed with an extremely rare and aggressive cancer called intimal sarcoma of the pulmonary artery and lungs, a cancer so rare that fewer than 130 cases have been reported worldwide. It is a cancer that hides within blood clots, undetected by scans, and is tragically discovered far too late. In my friend Sean's case, it was found during emergency open heart and open lung surgery that ultimately saved his life long enough for him to fight, to advocate, and to educate an entire community about a cancer most people have never heard of. Sarcoma as a whole is considered the forgotten cancer. It makes up less than 1% of adult cancers and 15% of juvenile cancers, but it impacts both adults and children on a great scale. Symptoms are often mistaken for everyday aches or injuries, which delays diagnosis and treatment. This is why our mission matters. The Give Back for Sean initiative. Through this give back, we proudly raise funds for the Sarcoma Foundation of America, supporting research, treatment, and resources for patients, families, and caregivers. We also give back to the artist community by giving them resources that they need, whether it's photo shoots, EPK, radio rotation. I can't wait to announce next week all of our sponsors and the media that's been involved to help us this year. Um, our Give Back for Sean initiative also takes a moment to honor Kelly Brown, who was a sarcoma warrior that joined us on our show 2 years ago and lost her battle of 9 years in September of 2025. Her strength, joy, and spirit continues to inspire everything we do. If we are still looking for sponsors, for partners for our fundraising year, so it's always going. As Nipsey Hussle said, the marathon always continues. So let's increase awareness, save lives. And from the bottom of my heart, I always continue to thank you guys as this is rooted in love, remembrance, and community. And we're just getting started. But of course, our event, meet us at Sango Hall on May 30th for the first stop with our guest judges, Digi Wax Zone, DJ Jeevis, Miss Krista B, and the man, the myth, the legend, Ace Bradley. Also celebrating my birthday there a week earlier, but you could get your tickets at rockviewent.com. We have 2 artist slots left. So if you want to be part of a movement that not only gives, it makes it makes you feel like you are part of something. Um, just meet us at Sango Hall and we'll talk. Now, without further ado, let me talk about someone that I spent 3 years chasing, my tenacious self on this show, right? It can never be that easy for me to get a guest without really putting that work in. I was supposed to do a shout out to the TED platform, the one that you always see all them motivational talks, right? So your homegirl was supposed to go do media, but because she works with the kids and likes what she does, right? She couldn't give up one to go to the other. But it's okay though, because we made a good friend in this guy. Um, and he's not just any guy, right? He's like Superman for the kids. I'm really telling you that. Like he's looking at me right now, shaking his head like, oh damn, what did I get myself into? But it's okay. Um, He's not shaping schools, he shapes futures. He's known as the Bronx Principal. Luis Eladio Torres has built a reputation for transforming lives through education, discipline, and purpose. As the principal of CS 55, the Benjamin Franklin School in the Bronx, he's created an environment where students aren't just learning, they're growing, evolving, and being prepared for the real world. As we talk about impact. This is someone who's been recognized not just within the education system, but the borough of the Bronx himself, earning honors like the Bronx People's Choice Awards and even being inducted to the Bronx Walk of Fame. That's legacy work. And first of all, like, I just learned this year that that actually exists. Um, but beyond accolades, we're getting into the mindset, the challenges, the sacrifices, and the real responsibility that comes with leading the next generation. If you are a student, an educator, a person that works in the CBO, a community-based organization, a parent, a creative, or somebody trying to understand what real leadership looks like, this conversation is for you. So, guys, without further ado, let's get a round of applause for the man, Luis Hilario Torres. Hey, man.
Good evening. It's an honor to be on your show.
Thank you for putting up with me for 3 years until I finally got it.
You was patient. We've been working.
I try. Like, I'm a Gemini, and I'm Greek, so patience is not really my strong suit.
Oh,
So but I've been practicing, and we here though.
it worked, right? We're here.
So in Rawrrzone form, we usually start the show. We like the same way, kind of like we do at SCL. We talk about, we introduce ourselves and how are we feeling today. So, Mr. Lewis, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling amazing. And I just am excited about this opportunity to speak with you today.
So, when you strip away the titles as a principal, a community leader, and a public figure, who is Luis Torres?
Luis Torres is a Puerto Rican kid who grew up in the Bronx, Elder and Watson Avenue, during the crack epidemic. A survivor, someone whose school counselor told him that he would never be successful in college and told him to join the military. That's who I am. I'm still that young man. I'm still that guy from the Bronx. I never forgot where I came from, and I'm here to keep leading the next generation.
Let's touch up more on that, what you said about your guidance counselor, because what experiences you faced with that growing up that actually shaped your perspective becoming a leader in education?
Yeah, so I went to Stevenson High School in the Bronx.
Mm.
I graduated in '89, and the year I graduated, it was right before Desert Storm. My school counselor brought me to the office, and she told me that I should join the military because I would never be successful in college. She said college is not for everyone. You would probably be better off making a life in the military. So I went into the military, listening to her because I believed in her. And I wound up getting called up to Desert Storm, and I almost didn't make it back.
What is that like?
Well, it's an interesting thing to be in a war situation at the age of 19, where you're sitting in a bunker and you're practicing to go to war, and you're hearing bombs going off over your head, and you're wondering if you'll ever be back, right? And you leave the Bronx thinking you're leaving from the Bronx to somewhere better, and you wind up in a war zone. Luckily that I never got to go overseas. The war was over before they actually shipped me over, but the training is just as bad as actually going to the war.
What did that so I know the life in the Bronx back then with a different breed of what the Bronx is now. Um what part of what was s- what was life like back then, especially like in the school systems?
Yeah, so as a kid growing up in the Bronx back in the 70s and 80s, school was tough. There was a lot of violence happening in the schools. There was crack epidemic happening. So in order to walk to school every day, I would have to walk through drug infested neighborhoods just to get to school. And when you get to school, you had to be ready to defend yourself because there was a lot of fighting and stuff going on in the schools. It was just a tough time. But the great thing was that with all of that, I still got a good education, and because I had great parents, I was able to finish my high school, even though all those challenges existed. It was a different time. I mean, we also had it good because we could stay outside late at night and still not be worried. It was kind of, it felt safe, even though it was a dangerous time.
How? But how? How? Because isn't that wasn't that like also the rise of like gangs in the late 70s, early 80s, especially in the Bronx? Like how
Yeah,
was
I
it?
mean, yeah, I mean, where I grew up, it was mainly Puerto Rican and black, right? So, it was a lot of us. We were like a family. It was like a family back then. If your neighbors saw you doing something wrong, they would tell your parents, and you would get disciplined. So even though we had gangs and all of that stuff going on, I still had a pretty decent childhood. Even though now, when I look back, I say, "Wow, I can't believe I lived through it." I felt safe back then. It was real weird. It was really weird. But we survived and we made it out, and we're better for it. You know.
Because of that, how did that influence the way you show up for your students now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it made me stronger and smarter. And I want to give my students everything that I didn't get as a child growing up, right? I didn't have access to the arts, which was something that I did my first TEDx on, which was how not having access to the arts almost killed me. So I want to make sure that children have access to the arts. I want to make sure children have great spaces that they could be in. So we're building a music studio in the basement of the school with windows of hip hop. We have a hospital in the school. We have aeroponic farms in the building where we grow our own vegetables. So everything that I wanted as a child, I'm bringing it to my school. We even have a soccer stadium in the backyard of the school. I mean, we have a hospital in the building with a nurse, dentist, psychologist, ophthalmologist, full time on staff. So everything that I wanted as a kid, I got it. And then we just recently cut the ribbon on the Jazz Chisholm gaming room where we teach children how to build games and play games, and we even have flight simulators because now the growing field that's needed is pilots and traffic controllers. So we teach our children even how to fly planes at an early age. So we're doing everything that I wanted as a kid. I'm doing it in the school.
Are y'all hiring over there?
No, we're not hiring yet, but we definitely doing some amazing stuff.
That does sound amazing, and it's crazy to think that back then, especially that time period in the Bronx, music was at such at a renaissance that there were there any extracurriculars back then, or did that more come towards the 90s?
Yeah, so we had very little extracurricular activities in the schools I went to. You saw it mostly in high school,
Hmm.
but it was not everybody got to do it. Music was more embedded into the everyday lives of people, like the DJs and the break dancers, and that stuff was happening in the streets. That wasn't happening in the schools. We would do it at recess and we would do it in the playgrounds, but that was not an organized thing. What's amazing about hip hop is that hip hop was created in the streets, it wasn't created in the schools. And unfortunately, myself, I was a graffiti artist growing up, but nobody ever took the time to know that I was an artist. So I never got to go to a college and really do the art path because nobody took the time to know that I can draw.
Do you regret not do you regret going into the military and not doing the college thing?
Honestly, I do because not because of the fact that I don't have pride for the country, because I have a lot of pride for the country, and I really enjoy the fact that I get benefits from the military, but nobody should ever tell us what we can and what we cannot do in life. And that's what drives me. Like when that counselor told me that I could never be successful in college, that was a bad thing by that counselor because she had control of my destiny at that moment, and she directed me in a way that put me in jeopardy, right? Had I gone to war, who knows if I would have ever came back. And then I come back and I earned 4 college degrees to prove the counselor wrong. So, she said I would never be successful in college, but yeah, I got 4 college degrees. Definitely,
That's
it
amazing.
was, yeah, it was misdirection by the counselor.
I hate when people do that because that's how my photography journey started. I took a photography class because it was something I always loved doing. Like I had like 500 disposable cameras. Like I was putting the film, developing it, and I went picked up digital photography after. And my professor, we call him Slapperhole because his last name and his first name started with an S, so we called him Professor Slapperhole. And he told me I did not have what it takes to be a photographer and run a successful media business. And I came back my senior year just to make sure I got in the school exhibition because he said no. And then when I got my first billboard placement back in 2021, I personally mailed a photo just to tell him to go fuck himself.
I wish I could do that with my counselor, but she probably died. Like she was so old, she probably died before I came back home anyway. So I don't know.
Like I did it to get my lick back for myself, and like he said that there's so many students, right? Like a few of my sorority sisters were there. He did it to them too. And I sit here because also at the same time, like because I had my original degree, my bachelor's was in history. I wanted to be a teacher, and my advisor had told me I didn't have what it took. But then at the same time, I was like, okay, I really wasn't that pressed into it because I liked what I was doing with my minor with in communication. I eventually got my master's in communications and public relations, but now I'm able to integrate the two because I work with kids. But I sit back and I look and I try to be like a role model to them because I sat here with the same thing as you. There's there's people that were in the positions to help shape us, and then they took the trust that we put in them, and it could have led us in different directions that could have harmed us. Like we still see kids now just in going through their own personal lives where they're relying more on the streets than they are on us because they feel like they can't trust us because unfortunately, and this is both for CBO, this is for school staff, and we know in the Bronx that some of these schools are very bad, that to the point where some of these people are just here to collect a check and they don't care no more, letting these kids run wild.
Yep.
So
Yep.
while we might have had some changes, I feel like it hasn't changed at all.
Exactly. And I think that in some cases it's gotten worse, right? They've cut some art and music programs. Every time they cut funding, it seems like the arts and the music and the social services get cut. It's like the things that we need the most get cut, right? Every time we cut funding. So, we just got to keep pushing forward though, because we, as the people who survived those times and survived those challenges, we have the ability to have the impact that we need to make sure. That's why I go so hard. I try to give my students everything possible because I say to myself that, that I wish that I had somebody like me that's doing this work. I say I want to be that leader that I wish I had when I was a kid.
Like I feel sad for these kids. Um because we had the opportunity to actually be kids, and because of the way society is built
Yep.
and the fact that our own leaders don't even respect our own policies here, um these kids are thinking they're like 14 and they're looking and moving like they 21.
Yep.
with no sense of a childhood. And these parents, because unfortunately they're my age, you know, because we got to do whatever we want, because there was no social media, no nothing, you know, I guess we were more lax. I, but I feel like it's just a whole disservice is being done. Like there's very few people that are like us that care about these kids that are willing to change their lives, and it's because of that. I is there ever I don't see major changes.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
you hit it on the nose. We were able to be children when we were kids because we were not tied to a device or iPad or cell phone. We were out in the streets playing video street games and activities. We were not playing video games. We were doing social skills type games where you're developing the ability to communicate with each other. You'd have friends. It was different. We were allowed to be children. Nowadays, our children are exposed to so much stuff so early in the life that their childhood is non-existent. We gotta try to get them to be children again.
like
you know
I got so scared when Trump was elected, and the first thing he did was demolish the board of ed. Um, and then I kind of, because I have like such high anxiety, I kind of stopped watching the news for a while because then they were coming for programs like the YCD, and I'm like, damn, I'm employed by them technically.
yep,
Like, if you fuck with them, I'm out of a job, and then these kids are even more fucked.
yep. So yeah, and we always have to remember that no matter what, whoever the leader is, whoever's the president, you have a lot of strong leaders who will advocate for these programs. And that's why people like yourself, shows like this, people like myself are very important because we will continue to make sure that our children get the resources they need. Because I call us, I've used the term equity warriors. We will continue to be equity warriors and fight for our children no matter who's in leadership.
You have the title of the Bronx Principal. What does that identity mean to you beyond it?
Yeah, so it's interesting you asked me that question. I actually got named the Bronx principal from one of the borough presidents, Adolfo Carrion, when he was the Bronx borough president. Every time he would see me at an event, he would go on the microphone and say, "Oh, the Bronx principal's here. The Bronx principal's here. The Bronx principal's here." Because of course, he was known as the Bronx borough president, right? So he gave me the name Bronx principal, but he kept saying it, and after a while, it just stood with me. And every time he would see me, he would call me the Bronx principal. So I said, you know what, I might as well just call myself the Bronx principal. And I took that name on, and I've had that name ever since. And the reason why I really take pride in it is because I want people to know that being a principal in the Bronx is different. It's a whole different world. You have to be able to not lead a school where the children are going to walk in, level threes and fours in reading and math. These are children that are not going to come in with silver spoon in their mouth. These are children that have those five inequities that exist before education, which is food, shelter, safety, health, and access to technology. When you lead a school in the Bronx, you're not just leading a school, you're a community leader. You're advocating for your community. You're looking for resources. I always tell people you got to be a beggar and hustler in the Bronx, right? So you could be a beggar and hustler because you're not begging and hustling for yourself, you're begging and hustling for others. And as a leader in the Bronx, that's what makes us unique. So, when I call myself the Bronx principal, I do it with pride, and I want people to know that not only myself, but every principal in the Bronx is doing that kind of work. So, I'm just proud and honored to have that name bestowed upon me.
So, were you always at CS 55, or
Yeah,
did you have multiple schools at one point?
yeah. So I've been the principal of CS 55 going on 23 years now. I've been there 22. I just completed 22. Been there 23. I've been in education now going on 20, 28 no, 29.8 years I've been in education in the school system. And then I've been in education in general because before I went, worked at 55, I was a teacher for 6 years. And then I worked at Hostos Community College for 10 years. I was one of the people that helped build up the community, what is it, the continuing education program at Hostos.
Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so as a young man, I came out of the military and I wanted to find a college because I was so scared that I would not be successful in college that would help me build my foundational skills. So I went to Hostos Community College in the Bronx and I felt at home there. You know, it's a school, a college named after a Puerto Rican man. A lot of the, yeah, yeah, Eugenio Maria de Hostos is Puerto Rican. And a lot of the students that were going there at the time were young men and women from the Bronx. So I went into the college. I built my early skills there, but I also started working at the college. And in working at the college, I got really connected with the community continuing education program, which is the adult programs like the GED, the ESL. But I helped bring the technology programs into the school. And I felt like at that point, I was really fulfilling my goal of making sure that no one could ever tell someone else what they can and not cannot be in the world. You know, I was like the anti guidance counselor that told me to go into the military. And I was just like telling people you could be whatever you want in life. And I worked there for 10 years. And then that's when I became a teacher in the Department of Education. And I left Hostos to go teach.
I know a lot of people ask this, but what is more? Is it tougher for you to be in in like public school system, or was it m- more difficult at hostels?
I'll tell you right now, being in the public school system is 20 times tougher than being at Hostos. And it's probably even tougher than being in the military during wartime. I tell you, it really is. Because you know, when you're doing things with adults, it's one thing, but when you're advocating and fighting for children, it's a whole another level of fight. You know, um, it's always challenging when you're advocating for children, especially in communities like the one I serve, where the inequities are very big. You know, I serve 4 housing projects. 100% of my children qualify for free lunch, which means 100% of my children live below the poverty line. And when you have those conditions and you add crime and other things to the mix, you know, it's a very challenging community to work in. And every single day, I feel like, you know, I'm putting my life and my job on the line to do what I have to do for my students. And it's tough. You're constantly walking on eggshells because you want to be the best that you can be at the job and not, you know, ever lose your job, right? Because you can't help others if you lose your job.
How do you handle the emotional weight of being responsible for so many futures?
Yeah, I mean, it's the greatest feeling in the world to know that you have impacted thousands and thousands and thousands of lives over the years. So if you multiplied my 23 years as principal and my 6 years as teacher, and you multiply that by 500, 600, 700 children, you know, that's the amount of children I've impacted. Thousands and thousands and thousands of children's and families that I've impacted over the years. You know, when you realize that, you say, wow, you know, you've really changed the whole generation of people. Like, you know, literally, I've impacted tens of thousands of youth who are now adults. Some are even grandparents at this point. You know, I've impacted generations of people. And, you know, my whole life, I tell people if you're coming into this world, you should come into this world to make it better than when you got here. right? And I really feel like in my heart that I've done that. And that's like a great accomplishment. You know, when they named the street after me on the Grand Concourse, when I got inducted into the Walk of Fame, you know, is when it started to hit me about the amount of impact that I've had on the number of families and children across the Bronx, across the city, and across the country, because I've also impacted other states as well.
When you walked into CS 55, what reality and what vision did you have going into it?
Yeah, when I walked into CS 55, it was one of the most dangerous schools in the city. And think of it, it was an elementary school back then, right? I walked into the school, nobody wanted to work there. Before I got there was like 4 or 5 principals in a matter of 4 or 5 years. You know, they were coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. Nobody wanted to be in the building. You had overage children. You had 13-year-olds sitting in second, third, fourth, and fifth grade. 13, 14-year-olds. You had big kids in the school. You had back then they called them Ms. 2 size 7s, which were children who were labeled emotionally disturbed. You had a lot of things that you normally don't see in the elementary school. So I had to do a lot of work to really create an environment where the school became a real elementary school. And then I had the challenges of the community around. You know, I was battling gangs, I was battling all types of people just to educate their children and ensure the safety and well-being of the families. So when I took over that building, you know, it was a real war. Literally, I went from one war to another war.
What does building trust look like with students who come guarded, who come disengaged because of the realities that they're facing outside of the school?
The most amazing, I say, if I have a superpower, is my ability to relate to the children. You know, because I come from where they came from, where they're coming from, because I know the challenges that they face, because I faced a lot of those challenges myself, because I lead with my heart and empathy, you know, I gained the trust of children right away. Children trust me. Children know good people. Children know good-hearted people, and they learn to trust them. So I win over my children right away. I win over my community right away because I'm there with them, you know. And I also make sure that not only am I educating them, but I'm making their lives better. You know, whether it's food, whether it's safety, whether it's clothing, whether it's sneakers, whatever it is that I need to do to ensure my children have the best things possible, I do it. And with that, then I gain their trust. But it starts with the fact that I come from where they come from. I'm a reflection of the community that I serve.
Be Beyond test scores, how do you measure the success of the school?
So I don't focus on test scores, honestly. I believe that our children need to be productive citizens. You know, in the early grades, the focus should be around, you know, unpacking those things like you talked about earlier, the inequities, unpacking all those baggage that they come with. I like to, you know, take that stuff away from them, and then I can truly educate them, right? And then I get them to be reading, and I get them to do math, but I'm not worried about that as much. I'm more worried about the children being able to survive in this world. So, you know, where a child may not be able to read, but they know how to do aeroponic technology. They can fly a plane. These children could probably grow their own vegetables. They will cook it. They will, you know, these are children that are growing up with skills that they can't get in other communities, you know. And then we work very hard to make sure that they're able to read. One of the data that's not looked at, right? Because everybody looks at reading and math scores, but they don't look at the deeper, you know, data. I always show tremendous growth because I get children who are very low. I get them to move to their potential, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I do is I don't opt children out of testing. All my children test. You know, some schools they're able to skew their data. I don't do that. I don't, you know, believe in that. That's a disservice. I feel that, All of our children have the potential, and we should not judge them based on reading and math scores. We should develop them as productive citizens. The greatest data that I have, greater than any math or reading scores, is the fact that 21 former students and parents of mine actually work in the school as teachers, paras, school aides. They actually work in the school. I had three teachers who were former students who work in the building. I have about 6, 7 paraprofessionals. A number of my school aides and community workers all were students and parents in my school
So I love that because then it fosters the sense of community, and it
and
gives your
family.
a family, and it gives your kids that are there now something to look forward to move forward with. Um I had a conversation with my sorority sister the other day. Shout out to Sunburst. She's a school psychologist in Colorado. And outside of us all saying that CPS is garbage in any state, we're talking about the lack of, I don't know if it's a lack of empathy and caring about mental health in the schools, but or if it's more on the parent side where they want to be in denial. But a lot of kids are getting passed over. Either they're just not getting the right evaluation, and they're getting, either they're being told they're fine, but meanwhile they have an intellectual disability.
Yep.
um how important is it, because I know my school doesn't have a school psychologist. They have guidance counselors, but if God forbid a child has an intellectual disability, they'll never know unless they go outsource it through their doctor.
Yep. So for me, I had a documentary that was done. It was the New York Times. They followed the school for 30 days during the pandemic.
Oh,
You
you're
could look it
fancy.
up. Yeah, it was New York Times. We're the only record of anybody following a principal during the pandemic. And I was literally battling to keep the school open during the pandemic because I knew if they closed the school down, all the resources and services I was providing would go away and those families would struggle. But eventually we closed down. But I ended that documentary by making a statement. And I said in the video at the end, no one's going to truly know the impact that the pandemic had on our children until the future. And people won't know because it really had a major impact. And till this day, I'm still waiting for people to actually build up community centers or places where families can go and get the services that they need, the mental health services, because they were never given it during the pandemic. And shortly after the pandemic, nobody provided mental health supports for these families. And a lot of people wound up with, PTSD and not even PTSD, ongoing trauma, and no one really provided any support for these families, thousands and thousands of families. And our children witnessed a lot of death and dying during that time, and unfortunately there was not enough investment in mental health. Now in my school building, I have three caseworkers, three social workers. I have five what I call success mentors. I have a psychologist. I'm also entitled to a psychologist from Montefiore. I have a number of social workers. So I have all the mental health supports in place in my school, but that's in my school. It was not done the way it should have been done after the pandemic, and it should be done now. They should have, stations in every community providing mental health because a lot of our families, a lot of our people went untreated, and the pandemic really messed up a lot of people.
So what can people do to get, like, you went and you found those resources. Where can people start looking to find resources like that? Because I always know a lot of parents, they're like, "Oh, I feel like my kid has ADHD, but I don't know for sure, so I'm just gonna treat him like he has it."
Yeah. It really starts at the leaders in the schools. right? I even provide training to principals on how to get these resources, and you'd be surprised. Not many principals show up to my trainings, and it's unfortunate because I'm willing to teach people how to do this, and they don't come out and do it. Like you said earlier, some people are just about the paycheck, and I'm not here to badmouth people, but that's the reality for some people. But a lot of hospitals are willing to go out and do satellite programs in schools. There are also some organizations that do community mental health stuff that you can reach out to as well. But you have my contact information. I could always share some of those resources, or I could connect you with the people in my school building who are the ones who do that kind of work on getting those resources for the families. But there's a lot of resources out there. It's just a matter of, getting the right people to direct you in the right direction.
So I've always wanted to ask this because I never thought to ask it at work, but I started to realize it more and more now, right? You see, CS55 is a community school, right?
Yep.
What is the difference between a community school and a regular public school?
Yeah, so a public school can become a community school at any point if they choose to function as a community school, right? So I've always been a community school for the 23 years that I've been doing this work. And even when I was a teacher, I was working in environment at community school. Um, and I tell people a community school, the difference between a community school and public school, first off, when they label you a community school officially, it just means that the Department of Education recognizes you as a community school, right? The reality is that a public school can be a community function as a community school, even if it's not a community school. And I'm in the process of developing another book called "Every School is a Community School" because every school can be a community school. Now, officially on paper, what makes a community school is that there are grants that you're given to do more than the regular just academics. So you get extra funding to provide attendance support, community outreach programs, after school programs. So you're given extra activities. I call a community school. My personal definition of a community school is a school that provides all those resources that a community is lacking, right? So in
Mm-hmm.
my building, I have a hospital. Why? Because there's no real hospital in the neighborhood, right? So I brought Montefiore into my school building, right? So I provide aeroponic technology farms in the school because there's no healthy foods options in the neighborhood. So whatever is missing in the community, I bring it into my school building. What I also do is I open up a lot of programming resources to the families in the neighborhood. So I have food pantries, right? So not every school has a food pantry. I have food pantries. I also provide clothing. I've even done sneaker giveaways. I've done all types of stuff to support the community. So a community school is basically bringing in extra resources, extra partners in order to meet to fight the inequities of the community. Whereas a regular public school, the main focus of a regular public school is the academic programs, right? But every school at this point should be functioning as a community school.
What's one misconception about inner city students, so not just in the Bronx, that we wish that people would stop believing?
First off, it was the governor who said that the kids of the Bronx don't know how to use computers. That's a major misconception. In my school, we got children flying planes, building games, doing coding. We have all types of stuff, technology going on in my building where we even have children making their own games, and gaming is a big career that's now out there, right? We even have our children looking at career paths in the gaming industry, right? So that's a major misconception. And the second misconception is that our children are not as bright and talented as they are. you know the Bronx, I think, has the most creative, innovative students in the world. A lot of our children are able to do things that other children in other communities can't because of the challenges they face every day. They've developed skills at a lot earlier age and are able to do and accomplish a lot more at an earlier age than other children. So, we got to stop thinking that our children can't be the best. I mean, think about it. A lot of the innovation, and look at hip hop, for example, right? It started in the Bronx, right? So the Bronx is a place where creativity happens, where innovation happens. It's a very good place for you to tap into those skills and things that you need to have in order to be successful in life.
If you could change one thing about the education system as a whole, so not just in the Bronx, but I guess let's go with New York, because if we say the entire education system, that
Yep.
needs a whole overhaul.
Yep.
What would it be?
Yeah, I said it before. It's about making every school a community school. It can't be that there are pockets of this work happening. If every school took on a little bit of responsibility for the inequities of the world, we can have a greater impact on the inequities of the world. The other thing is, schools get blamed for a lot of things that are really community issues. You know, so an elevator breaks in one of the buildings where my school is located, and my attendance goes down. Right, all of a sudden, it's the school's fault as to why those kids are absent, not the building across the street that the elevator broke down, and the kids who live on the 16th floor can't get to school. Right. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, so there needs to be more shared accountability between the schools and the communities that they're located in. Everybody should be accountable for the schools.
Do you feel like we should also have more programs for the parents as far as like, because I remember as a kid, the one thing, mm, shout out to St. Demetrius and even shout out to LIC High School, they made sure that parents came at least once a quarter, not just for parent teacher conferences, but gave just ways for them to be involved with their kids. I
Yep.
feel like because of how dangerous the school system has been, they took more and more opportunities of community building away from the families.
And we have the perfect opportunity right now. There is something that's going to be coming down where, in order for a parent to retain their welfare benefits and their health benefits, they got to do 20 hours of work time. Why
Hmm.
not make it that work time could be done in the schools? Then it does two things, right? The parents don't have to run around looking for a job to do that 20 hours of work time to keep their benefits. They can do it right in their own community. And then the schools also benefit because now they have the parent engagement that you're talking about, and they have, a workforce that is not being paid for by the school. So, this is the perfect timing for that to happen.
What do you tell the kids that don't possibly want to go down the college path?
I I tell children, because of what I went through, they should want become whatever they want to be in life. That's why in my school, they're gonna learn how to do the trades. We do wood shop in our school. We're bringing back those things that we did when we were in school. I want children cooking. I want them to do home economics. I want them to learn the different trades. I want them to fly planes. I want them to learn engineering. I want them to learn everything possible so that if they choose not to go to college, at least they can be productive citizens. So it's a matter of teaching our children that you can be whatever you want to be. There are so many career paths that are out there. If you put in the work, you put in some energy, and you're interested in doing something, then you have the potential. I run my school as a like almost a CTE school, like a technical school. We do a lot of the trades work and we do a lot of that stuff in the school because I want our children to feel that they can be whatever they want to be in life.
Give me one second. I don't know if my camera just disappeared on me, but can you see me now?
Nope, it's black.
Okay, give me one
There you
second.
go. Yep, you're back.
All right, let me see if I put it back on the other on my actual camera and just change that resolution. If you're gonna let me be, nope, you're not letting me live today. Okay, got you. That's disappointing. But we are here. All right.
Yep.
Um, what role should culture, identity, religion, and real work experiences play in curriculum?
I mean, there's a lot of room for cultures to be expressed in the curriculum, right? We're currently engaging in Black and Latino studies in the school, right? Our student population is a 50-50, is 50% Hispanic, 50% Black. So, it's very important that they learn about their culture. We're also an African dominant school where most of the students coming in now come from Gambia,
That's
so
cool.
it's very important for them to know their culture, right? So we actually are the only school in the United States that teaches an African language. We teach Sunenke in our school building. So our kindergarten children learn Sunenke, and then they're now learning it in first grade. So my Spanish students learn Spanish, English, and Sunenke. My African students learn Spanish, Sunenke, and English. So our children are learning three languages. When people hear culture, they have to understand that it's not about just the books that the children read, right? It's also an investment in language, and even the food we serve in our cafeteria is culturally relevant. We serve African dishes in our school. We have halal menus in our school. So it's a matter of, if you're gonna be cultural, then you need to make the whole school cultural. It can't just be the books that children read, right? And then we teach them about other cultures, right? Because they should know about every other person's culture as well. So, but in the beginning, they should learn about themselves, because it's very hard to learn other cultures if you don't even know your own.
I say that because we started I think as the initiative, my CBO had started putting learning cultures, and the kids started making their own passports, which is really creative.
Hmm.
They'll look up the culture, what where they start with where they're from, and then they like my coworker, and I love it. They've been to like maybe about 50 countries in the course of a school year.
It's
As
amazing.
far as
Mhm.
learning, um they even made a cookbook.
Wow.
And what threw me more for a loop, just within the school itself, because we did a me and my director did a double take because actually started having a Bible club. And
Wow.
I learned that, as because separation of church and state, I'm thinking, the school, they're not supposed to teach religion. But I'm now learning that if the population is trying to do it, as opposed to it being led by a teacher, you know, they can actually do religious clubs and have these people come in and come together, whether you're Hindu, whether you're Catholic, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, think
We're
about it. They
bypassing
they
it.
allow they allow prayers in schools, for the Muslim students during
They
certain
do?
parts of the city. Yeah, they do. You just can't designate a space in the school, like the chapel or the mosque or nothing like that. But if a child needs to pray because of a religious purpose, you can allow them to pray. You got to give them a space somewhere they can do it. You just can't label the space, right? And it's only for certain periods of time that it can be done. Also, like in our school, we teach Arabic on Saturdays, but it's cultural, right? Because that's their culture. So they allow they're allowed to learn Arabic on Saturdays because it's a language. It's not, it's not just religion. It's a language. So
How do you think our educators could better connect with our technology generation of students?
yeah, I think that the most important thing for educators is to become educated and become just as advanced in the technology as the students, right? It's hard to work with children when they're doing chat gpt and all this other ai stuff and doing coding and all of that, but you as a teacher, you don't know how to do it. At least familiarize yourself with it, right? So I say to people, you got to be at the same level or above the children, right? I'm not asking you to be the tech gurus, but at least familiarize yourself so that it doesn't come across like the children know more than you. But at the end of the day, technology is at the point now where it's so easy to use that more and more teachers are taking ownership of it because they realize the value of technology. Technology is able to do a lot more things for us to make our lives easier now so that it's easier to embrace.
How important? I know you pretty much are a whole CBO in a school, but how important are community based organizations? So like FIPS and Sobro and the Davison Community Center. How important are
Yes.
these
Yeah.
for our
Mhm.
kids?
Yeah, so I have Scan Harbor in my school. Scan but Fibs and all these programs are so important. Many of us youth lived because there was a community center or some kind of program in our community where we connected with, right? For me, we had Kids Bay growing up, and other programs. And it just gives our children a place where they can go. I remember Beacon as a kid. um
You were a
the-
Beacon kid too?
no, I was a Beacon kid, but I worked the Beacon program. I worked
Ah,
Yeah, I worked in a Beacon program as a young man. It just gives our children places where they can connect with people and be in a safe space, and for families to have the resources they need. And it's just a good way to serve our community. And most of the programs are run by the community itself. So a lot of the people that work it are from the community as well. So it's really a good way to connect with the people in the community, get the resources you need, feel safe, and children can grow and learn from it. I mean, homework help is always incredible, right? Families struggle with homework. They have a space where they can get that. The sports and arts programs are very strong with the CBO partners. And if you do it right, it becomes a seamless program in a school where when my children go to after school, it feels like an extension of the regular school day with some extra curricular stuff and really fun things.
what can we do to have these kids excited to stay in the school for these programs? Because a lot of them, because especially in the Bronx, we are lacking resources. Unfortunately, not everyone could be like CS 55. We lack the technology. We lack, the right resources to get the kids engaged.
Yeah, I think it's creating a fun space, fun environment. It doesn't always have to be the technology. It could be just, hiring people who like to have fun with the children, games, activities, sports programs. And also, what I tell people too is that the Bronx itself is a resource. We got to utilize the Bronx more, right? The Bronx Zoo is underutilized. The museums are underutilized.
Because they're all free.
Parks are underutilized, right? But you say
Because
because they're paid.
they all no, they all free.
Yeah.
Especially if you either if you're a resident in the city, You can go to the Bronx Zoo for free on Wednesdays. You can go to the aquarium for free, or the museum. Is it the Museum of Natural History? It's
Yep, all of them. They're all free certain
yeah.
days.
Like there's opportunities, especially for like CBOs, that they could all go in for free with. And I just don't see a lot of that. Like there's not a lot of kids that is excited for school like we used to be. Like when the ones that were excited.
We have to tap into those things that they like to do. Gaming, games, technology, those types of things interest the students. Sports teams and sports programs interest the students still. Those are the types of things they like. The arts, they still like that. You know, we as schools, I always tell the principals, it's okay to leave your office, it's okay to leave your school and see what resources and things exist in the neighborhood, what partners you can make. I say the same thing to the CBOs. Go out into the community, start partnering with other organizations, figure it out. And you'll find that there's money where you thought there was no money. And I always am willing to help people to get those resources. So you can always share my contact info.
I def Trust me, definitely will when I talk to my boss. Um what is as we go into like reforming past the school, um what will accountability look like across students, parents, and educators when it comes to the kids?
What are you saying? So, as far
What
as accountability systems for what?
what does accountability look like across students, parents, and educators?
Yeah, I mean, we have to continue to work on that. I think that somewhere along the line, parents got less accountable for the students as far as school, and even though parents care about the education of the children, and may believe that they are doing the best thing for their child, somewhere along the line, like attendance has become almost optional, right? And we have to really hold each other accountable to make sure that our children are coming to school every day. One of the major challenges, not only in the Bronx but across the whole country, is chronic absenteeism, and a lot of it is because there's no accountability for attendance right now. We also have to encourage our children to be accountable for their own attendance. It's harder in the elementary level because in the elementary level, the attendance is really the parents bringing the children. But overall, we got to make children more accountable and understand the importance of coming to school every day so that they can develop something inside their heart to make sure that they're accountable to the attendance. And then as teachers, we're accountable to ensuring that our children have the best quality education possible. And that also comes with teacher attendance, teachers wanting to come into work and support the children. It also is a teacher who does the extra to address those basic needs that our children need. And so, because you can't truly educate a child if those inequities exist. I said on social media one time, if you don't feed the children, they'll eat the teachers. And it's so important that we understand that there are a lot of inequities that exist in our communities that if we don't address them, it makes it harder for us to do our work. So we all have to collectively have accountability for ourselves in order to meet the needs of our children.
How do you encourage entrepreneurship, creativity, and independent thinking within your students?
Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, even though I'm in elementary school, I expose them to careers. I teach them about the different careers and the opportunities that are out there. I also bring in mentors and other people who look like them who they can learn about. So I have guys who design their own clothing. I have authors come in. I have all different types of people from all types of careers coming into the school so that our children can aspire to be like them or follow in their footsteps, and, or just look at them as a launching pad to something greater. But what I try to do is early on is I'm trying to expose our children to as many careers and opportunities as possible so that they can choose for themselves what they want to be in the future.
Have you ever doubted yourself in this role? And if so, how did you push through it?
Yeah, I mean, every day, I have to find the courage and energy to continue to push forward and do this work because it's not easy, right? So, um, doubting myself early on in my career, I would say I doubted myself a lot. Nowadays, I know that because I lead with integrity and fidelity, that I am doing the best that I can do, and that's all that is expected of me. So as long as I give 150%, I'm happy with the work that I'm doing, and I no longer doubt myself. In the beginning, I was doubting myself because I didn't know if I was giving enough. I didn't know if I was doing enough. But now I'm at a point where I know that I'm doing what I need to do, and I'm confident at night I can go to sleep knowing that I put in 150% effort every day.
How do you take care of yourself while you taking care of the world?
That's a good question. You know, it's a matter of you finding time to do things that you like to do. So for me, I love to be on social media. I like doing that. I also like watching sports. So I do that whenever I can.
What
But
sports
I
are we talking
also I watch basketball. I watch football. I watch baseball.
about?
I'm a
Okay.
big New York fan. I watch my daughter play softball, so I'm heavily involved in sports, uh, because that's the stuff that will, and I also um find time to breathe, right? Because breathing is so important. So whenever you have an opportunity to breathe, just breathe, take things easy, and just know that at any day that you wake up, you're winning. And that's the mindset I try to instill in everyone. As long as you wake up, you've already won, right? And then if you wake up with a mindset like that you're winning from the moment you wake up, then it's very easy to be able to sustain your health and wellness.
If you can go back and talk to the young Lewis who dealt with that guidance counselor, what would you tell him knowing everything you know now?
I would say you be who you want to be. Don't let anybody tell you who you can and cannot be in life. Um, I would also say, you're a very talented artist. Why don't you apply for a college that has a strong arts program? You'd make an amazing art teacher. You'd make an amazing school leader at some point in your career, right? I would definitely have swayed Lewis to go into the arts because that's something that he loved to do, and he was very talented in an early age.
So this is our anniversary month. So I've been asking everyone this question in the context of what they do, right? What does it mean for you to get raw in your purpose and in your leadership?
Yeah, I mean, it's living your genuine self, right? Like I am a Bronx kid, Puerto Rican kid, grew up in a challenging neighborhood, grew up on hip hop, grew up in an environment where I learned to dress a certain way and act a certain way, and I choose to be that. I got written up when first started teaching for wearing sneakers. Until this day, I still wear sneakers at work. Because
I
I
do
will
too.
not. Yeah, why change who we are? This is who makes us who we are. This is why people love us. This is why people respect us because we are genuine people. And being raw to me is being that, being who you are. And it doesn't matter that I'm a principal, I'm still a human being. And I still have things that I like to do, things that I feel, and things I want in life. Why do I have to change for anyone else. I don't. And I choose to be who I am because of who I am. I tell people everyone is perfect. Everyone in the world is perfect. You are perfectly who you was born to be. You was perfectly who you was born to be. What you are today is what was meant for you to be today. So don't allow anybody to change who you are and be raw. Be raw, be pure, be who you are.
I love it. Oh my god, I almost cried. Within that, when it's all said and done and you walk out of CS 55 for the last time, what is one thing you want your kids to remember you by?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. You know, I've done almost 30 years. I'm 55 now. And, you
God
know,
bless, because you don't look it.
yeah, I'm getting old, girl. But
You,
you
you
know,
and hip hop
I'm
about
get
the same age.
yeah, I mean, I want not only the children, but everyone to know that when I leave that school, I'm leaving on empty. I came in with a full tank, but I will leave on empty. I'm not going to leave anything left in my tank when I walk out of that school. I gave it my all.
Because that was deep. That was definitely deep. You were a poet in another life, weren't you?
Rap music, hip hop.
You did everything. Um, what is next for you? Do you have any events going on with the community that you want to plug? What's
Yeah,
the
there's a
summer looking
couple.
like for you?
Yeah, there's a couple events that I want to mention, but I can't really give details. Only people like yourself will be invited to certain things. But we have the ribbon cutting on the brand new music studio that's being built in the basement of the school, and that is being done with Windows of Hip Hop, and that'll be coming soon. June 6th, though, I have a big event. It's a STH event. It's for students in temporary housing, but it's open to the whole community. We got clothing, food, sneakers, all types of stuff to give away at that event, and that's pretty much open to everyone. There'll be a DJ, there'll be bouncy games and activities. It's a huge event. We're expecting at least 1,000 people to come out to that. That's happening June 6th in the parking lot of the school. And then we'll be there all summer. We'll be doing summer school in the building. So we'll be there all summer to provide programs and services to our families 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week.
Are you doing summer school or summer rising?
Summer Rising, we call it summer school, and summer rising, summer school, we provide the academic supports as well as we have other programs that we do in the school building that are considered summer school because they're not summer rising programs.
See, me and summer rising are beefing the way that these schools are using summer rising as leverage to get these kids to if it really bothers me because it's not even just like in our community. I heard it from a couple of other like in other boroughs and even here in Queens. Like, oh, see, I can't go to summer camp this year because they told me if I do this, I can't do this in September. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, first of all, and the summer rising has a list of how many people. So if God forbid these kids don't get into the summer rising, then they can't do the programs in September. I think that's robbery.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly open it up to everyone. And I don't care what programs you do now, you still can qualify for my programs in September. It doesn't work that way for me. But I don't
See,
know. Schools do interesting things. I can't talk for all schools.
I need to like I don't know. I think I was blessed back in the day, especially in high school, because even though the when I went to Saint Demetrius in the Greek school, like I got a lot of my art stuff from there,
Yep.
but being in LIC and being part of Global Kids and being in JROTC and doing volleyball, it made me so well rounded, and also seeing what's going on with the world around me, that it
Yep.
gave me those tools to want to keep doing this. Because I've been working with kids since I was 16, when the CBOs were allowing kids to work in the schools, in the after school programs,
Yep.
um and then summer youth, and then I tutored in college, and then I worked in Cornerstones, and eventually just became here and working the last 6 years in the Bronx, and seeing the need, and I'm just like, wow, maybe I was just supposed to do this the whole time.
No, absolutely. And you're doing what you were meant to be, right? Like I said earlier, everybody's perfect. So you're in the perfect career, perfect place you need to be right now. And then when it's time to make a move or make a change, then you'll make that decision. Right now, you're in the perfect place.
Yeah, I love my kids. My kids also found Rawrrzone, like, cause my middle school and elementary school are now all high schoolers, and upper age middle schoolers, and because we had the media day for the PNSBC, they all found me, and they're probably gonna watch this later. So I love my little shitheads. You know,
Listen,
they keep me going, and they are the reason why I'm still here, because I sit here every day, and I look at the school system, and I'm just like, why?
yeah. Well, the good thing is that we keep pushing and we keep doing what we got to do. Eventually, we'll get it right. So we just got to keep pushing.
I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm more happy though that the school one thing the school system did right was taking away the corporal punishment,
Yep.
because
Yep.
those days of writing on the board made me feel
Yeah.
like a little dummy. I'm not gonna hold you.
It's
Like the
true.
Bart Simpson, I will not do this. I will not do this. I will not do this.
Yeah, it was a different time period, but we're getting to a different point in the world where education is eventually gonna be where it needs to be. So we just got to keep pushing forward.
We could sit here and talk about all these kids for hours because I love them.
Yeah,
Um, but it is also 10 o'clock at night. You know, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
yeah, I say
Um,
that all the time.
right. But for now, as we close this, where can they find you?
Yeah, I mean the best way to find me right now is at the Bronx Principal on Instagram. That's the best place to connect with me. If you DM me, I'm really good with responding myself. I do it myself right now. And just if you connect with me on Instagram, it's the best way. And if they reach out to you and you feel that it's in something that is worth it, then you can give them further contact info. But for
I
now, yeah, at the Bronx Principal is the best way.
And then also this man has books. He has TED Talks. So look him up if you have questions about what's going on with this with your community. He is definitely very approachable because I've sent him like hundreds of flyers, not really hundreds, but quite a few. Um, and he does share. He does, make sure that it does get out. But we are here next week. Catch us with the quarantined. Going back to the music and hitting a little rocker type vibe. You can follow us everywhere, www.rawrzonenyc.com. Follow us at our home of Fab 94.5 The Hits on Tuesday, Puso 82.3 FM on Wednesday, and of course the Evening Rush Radio Network on Fridays. You will catch this episode with an exclusive Rawrrzone mix on those stations. Whew, next week, a whole lot of stuff is going on next week. We're on the road to the give back, so please support your communities. And yeah, as in normal Raw Zone fashion, I leave everyone with this parting words of self confidence and humor.
I've got one more thing to say, and it'll only take me a second. I've got 2 words that I want you all to remember. They're very important. And if I leave you with anything, I'm going to leave you with these 2 words. And those 2 words are, I'm Batman.
Keenan, goodbye, guys.